Hi guys, Blake here with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful upper Lake Taneycomo. It is Tuesday, March the 30th of 2021, and I'm going to do the one cast for you today. So today I boated up here. I'm starting right below Lookout Point Island. I am over here on the bluff side. I am going to start off with a 16th ounce Lilleys white jig with a red collar on 2-pound Trilene XL line, monofilament. They are running 2 units of water. They slowed it down from the 3 units yesterday to 2 units. We got a little bit of a wind gust going here. And some dark clouds rolling in, so I'm hoping that I don't get completely rained on here. Anyway, we're gonna get this thing started. So now that they've slowed it down to that 2 units, you can get away with the 16th ounce jigs. Got lots of fishing reports from today. For the most part, the day started off overcast and was overcast through early this afternoon, and then the sun poked its head out for just a second. And then we got this storm front rolling in now. It's going to bring a little bit of rain and some colder weather for the next few days, from what I understand. All right, nothing officially on the first cast. I'm hoping, based on my fishing reports today, that I will not get skunked again, but we will see. So, some fishing reports. Phil went out this morning, and they were using white jigs and said that they caught quite a few fish. He said that they did 1 drift, and from the cable to the boat ramp they didn't catch any fish, or the cable to the island here actually, and they said once they got down here to the island, from the island down, they were catching fish. They said the bite was real good. Levi was out with his family again today and said that they did real good on white jigs, fishing them from the island down. He said the bite wasn't nearly as good up by the dam. Let's see. Bill Babler said he was the first one up at the cable this morning and said that the bite on the white jigs was good for him on their first pass. So they caught a lot of fish. Heard a report that someone was floating a white jig and a shad fly underneath an indicator from Trout Hollow Lodge down to our dock, and said they were doing really well. I just passed a gentleman in a tracker bass boat a second ago that said he was doing all right on San Juan worms and scuds. But as I suspected, the reports got better from yesterday to today, and these fish should continue to want that shad as fewer and fewer shad are in the water for them. They're going to be looking for them, and that bite should continue to get even a little better. I'm actually still seeing shad floating past the dock, obviously not in great numbers, but that means there's still enough trapped up in the eddies, that they're getting pushed out and pushed down the lake, and that's a good sign. And yesterday I saw them floating under the boat when I started the one cast, right up there by the dam, so it's totally possible that there was still maybe some coming through the generators. But they have slowed the flow down to 2 units. I would suspect that they would probably keep that up unless, of course, we get a bunch more rain. Phil told me this morning that they started off with 1/8 ounce jigs and that they couldn't catch a fish on an 1/8 ounce jig, but once they switched to the 16th ounce, they started catching fish. So potentially maybe just that slower, more suspended looking action was getting the fish's attention a little better than the 1/8 ounce falling through the 2 units of water. I'm still trying to make sure that I'm getting this to the bottom. But Bill did say he noticed that the fish seemed to be a little more spread out through the water column, and that they were coming up and chasing the bait a little better. That's primarily just due to the fact that the water is moving a little slower. But also, as they get more desperate to find a shad, they will do a little more chasing. So that's when throwing some jerk baits and stuff will be real good as well. Oh, I'm gonna sit down. So far, the 2 colors I've heard today were white, all white, or white and gray. Levi said that he tried white and blue and white and pink and said that they had no success on those colors. Which sometimes that white and blue works whenever there's a shad run going on. Hey, oh, I lost him, no. Oh, that's discouraging. I had one on finally. So I'm just slowing the boat down. I'm working these inside pockets and edges along the bank. You know, whenever the shad got pushed this far down the lake, they got pushed to the channel side and they got pushed in along these banks. And so the fish along these banks should be still looking for that same thing. Oh, I can't believe I missed that fish. But I will say that most of the good reports today came from this stretch here, from Lookout down to the Narrows. Let's see, Captain Steve Dickey said that they had a really fat, about 23-inch brown on this morning that just barely eluded their net. And Phil said he caught a nice 18-inch brown down here by the Narrows and said that its belly was absolutely packed. I mean, it was just a football of a fish. And you're gonna expect to see that for a while now. A lot of the other reports that I heard were of people catching 16, 18, 19-inch trout. I believe Phil said that this morning on their boat they had 4 that were at least 20 inches long. And he went out with his grandkids a little bit ago, and they came up here and fished for a second and caught a nice 24-inch rainbow. I'm not sure exactly how much cooler it's supposed to be, but I do know there's a low this week of 28. So don't put those flowers out in the yard just yet. Oh, there's got to be one in that pocket right there. That is just a perfect eddy pocket. Oh, there was a bite. All right. I'm 0 for 2 now, but at least I got to feel some action. Bill did say this morning that the bite was fairly quick. I mean, they were coming up and snagging it real quick, which can leave the opportunity for short strikes. But he said they were still able to hook them. There was another one. They are definitely doing that. They are definitely short striking pretty good here. I suspect we'll begin hearing more about browns being caught now that they're seeing all these shad. Anytime you're imitating one, there's a good chance of catching a brown right now. Oh my gosh, there's a fish. There are still fish in this lake, and they are fat. You don't necessarily need to be using 2-pound test right now. The water's definitely dingy enough for fishing with 4-pound. Man, look at the belly on this rainbow. I love it. Just so gorged. So thick. Look at that. See you, buddy. Go grow. Go keep eating. All right. Sweet. I broke my curse. And from what I understand, Phil said that they were just floating down the center and casting on either side of the boat and catching them. And so you don't necessarily need to work the bank to find a fish right now on a white jig. I think they've seen enough that you could pretty much fish it anywhere. But I specifically wanted to try the bluff tonight in hopes of potentially finding a brown trout laying on the bluff. Which, somewhere down in here is where Dwayne caught that 10-pounder on the one cast that day when we fought it in the pontoon boat. And I know that this bluff specifically all year round holds some brown trout. It's just a good bluff for that. There was another fish right there. From what I understand, the morning and evening bites are still the best time. I talked to a couple guys that came back a little bit after lunchtime and said that the fishing had slowed down just a touch, so. You definitely got to be fast on your hook set. I've had 3 or 4 bites so far that were just super fast. Something to keep in mind when you're fishing a bluff is that if you're casting right on it on the edge, it's going to be pretty shallow right there, and then each time you bump that jig, it's going to get significantly deeper because of the drop off, and so you just need to let it sink a little bit longer each time you jig it. Make sure you're getting down. Oh, I got some moss that time. Oh, there's a good pocket right there. These, it's amazing how many different of these species eat the shad. I've seen all kinds of different birds flying around with shad in their mouth. I can only imagine that the mink and the otter and all the other little species that crawl around on the banks are eating them too. Just had another bite. Very fast bites. For some of this wind, especially if I was not fishing this slower water over here, a 3/32 might be just a touch better with how much wind is blowing. There's another fish. Ooh, that one's got a little pull to him. They are very lively. They've been eating all these shad, and then all of a sudden one of them bites back, and they are not happy about it. That was just another beautiful rainbow. Okay. I mean, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but you look down his back and see how narrow his back is, and his belly is just sticking so far out on either side. Amazing. Ooh, that wind is getting bad. The storm is definitely moving in. I looked at my radar and it didn't show anything rain-wise moving in until an hour from now, but I don't trust the way those clouds look. I have to say though, if you're coming down, definitely get in on this white bite. It is one of the funnest times on Taneycomo. The trout are just absolutely heavy and gorge, and it seems like some of the bigger ones come out to play a little bit more whenever the shad are flowing. You just have an opportunity to catch trout of a lifetime. Oh, that was a heavy hit. Oh, he hit that so hard. Stick. There's a really big eddy pocket right here created by this bank. I'm going to try to hold my boat in it a little longer. Oh, what was that? I think I caught the... No, I sure didn't. That was a fish. That might have been a really big fish. Oh, man. Right now I'm just directly across the golf courses right on my backside. And if you're familiar with the lake, there's a little tree stand over here. Kind of looks like a hunting stand, but I imagine it's for jumping off of into the lake. And there's a really big eddy right here. And I've caught some really nice browns out of this little pocket on the bank. I want to say this is somewhere in the area of where we hooked into that big brown on the one cast. Oh, I just got 3 bites in a row right there. Getting lit up. Oh, there he was. Oh, I wrapped my jig. There we go. So the way these dead shad, once they do get pulled underneath the water, they just kind of float and suspend a little bit as they're getting pulled down the lake. And so the lighter jig kind of gets that similar suspension, and I think that's why it's working a little bit better than per se a heavier jig. There's a fish. I still have him. He's swimming right towards me. I really don't want to lose this spot. We are in a good area. Come on. Let me have a hold of that. There we go. There's another one. His belly's not quite as big, but he's working on it. What am I at right now? Okay. This eddy pocket goes almost to the staircase on this hill over here. It's a good 150 foot long. There's another one. Yep, they are definitely locked up in this spot. Even he's got a fat little belly. I get excited when fish get fat, I'm sorry. So what happened was these shad came through, all these dead ones got swirled into these eddy pockets, and these fish got real hip to that real quick. And so they're still over here in these pockets looking for that. And they're starting to get desperate enough to take the imitation. I think I might make today's video a little longer. Alright, so right here below that big staircase that goes up the hill, the bank cuts out again, so we're going to have another good little pocket to play with here for a second. Oh, there was one. It's amazing how quick they're hitting that. I'm gonna be going with a buddy tonight, and we're gonna go, assuming the storm front doesn't pour in really heavy, we're gonna go hit Bull Shoals for some night fishing for walleye tonight. So I might, if I get to come out and do one cast tomorrow, I'll give a report on the walleye fishing down there. This should be the time of the year where they're moving up towards that dam with all the water running, and I know there's shad coming over down there too. There we go. Oh, wow. This one's a little longer. And pretty. Still got that nice red stripe. These fish are so heavy, when you pick them up by the jig, they start straightening the hook out. Come on now. That is the one thing I don't like about 2-pound tests sometimes. They can just really get tangled around the end of the rod easy. Got this big Volkswagen Beetle sized boulder in the water here, which creates a nice little eddy behind it. Surely there's a fish sitting there. Oh, I felt it hit that. And there is a fish sitting there. They are just doing all kinds of twisting and rolling. Oh, look at the colors on that one. My batteries are a little low on my mic before I started, so I'm hoping I don't run out of battery power here. But yeah, this boulder creates another really nice eddy. Another hope of mine is that as this floodgate water came through and the shad started coming over, that it started encouraging some more of the fish from down lower in the lake to kind of move up into the trophy area. I notice as the water runs faster, they usually like to head towards wherever the headwater is. And whenever shad come through, they like to come up towards the source. These fish are really hitting this thing as it falls down. So they're definitely looking for more of that dead shad action than they are the alive one, but I'm really having to watch my line here to pick up on that bite because they're hitting it so fast I really don't have time to feel it. So I'm just looking for any little inconsistency in my jig dropping. If you watch your fishing line, you'll get used to the way the jig falls and the way the line kind of goes out on the water. And you just kind of watch that real carefully, and if you see it do something funny, just set the hook anyway. You're not going to hurt anything by setting the hook. Some other exciting news is with this slower current and everything, the night fishing should be starting to get better. Because with that floodgates, it doesn't. I've tried it once, night fishing with the floodgates. Well, I've tried it a couple times. I tried it once from a boat and a few times from the bank. There's just too much water. It's hard for those fish to see what's going on. It's not that I haven't caught fish doing it, but it's just a lot more challenging. The wind is pushing my boat upstream a little bit, so I'm going to start putting my cast a little bit farther back at an angle, more like a 45-degree angle upstream. I'll kind of let the bait swing, and that seemed to work. Two jumps. Oh, and he's going under the boat. don't you jump up here into my hands. Yep, these fish are all very healthy now. Sometimes that cast upstream slightly, especially if your boat's getting pulled, or blown up the lake, but that upstream cast can kind of help drive the jig towards the bottom a little faster. I'm seeing some of these fish come up, and there's little white, just little white foam bubbles on top of the water, and they're coming up and hitting them, thinking that they're shad. I almost feel like you could really put just like a white piece of foam with a hook on it and cast it out there along the bank, and I bet you'd catch a fish right now. I don't know if it'd be the most effective way to catch them, but it'd be fun. Haven't really seen a whole lot of midges flying around lately, but I could imagine that now that the water slowed down and it's getting warmer outside, that we should suspect to see some more midge action. I'm seeing white jigs in the trees everywhere. Oh, that's a heavier fish. Oh yeah. He's gonna go right for that log. Oh, please don't go for that log. I'm gonna try to pull him out. This might be a trophy. Oh. Oh my. I love that sound. This is where a 4-pound test would be at a little bit more of an advantage here. Oh, don't do that, don't do that. Stay down. Just trying to come up and roll on the surface. I really don't think he's as big as he's fighting, but he's definitely a nice fish. I want to keep him, I want to drag him out here in the center a little more. I do not want him getting over here in the logs and stuff over here by Eagle Island. Oh, I just saw him puke up shad. He did a big turn right in front of the boat and just threw a bunch of shad out of his mouth. There, he sees those logs. Come on, buddy. Stay with me here. Oh, he's just puking shad everywhere. Greedy, greedy little fish. Stay down. This is just how you got to play them when you're using 2-pound tests. If you try to horse it, you're gonna lose that fish. It's got my forearm burning a little bit. Oh, he was almost ready. There we go. Oh, he's not quite as long as I thought he was, but man, is he a super, super heavy, thick fish. That is one fat fish. And he's gonna go 19 inches long. Beautiful fish. Well, I've ran a little over my time, so we thank you guys for watching today. Like and share us on Facebook, and we'll get back out here and do it for you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.